From Chris's presentation today, honestly, I really took away that I probably have too much on my plate. In juggling as much as I do between home and work and everything, I do probably self-sabotage, as he spoke about, which is something that I certainly don't want to do. And he gave us a really good outline as to how to avoid that. And I really enjoyed that aspect. The way that Chris portrayed everything and the way that he came about was really, really awesome, because the fact that he did it through story. And people can really relate to that. I saw that, and looking around the room, he really kept the audience engaged. Whereas some of the other speakers that I've seen, you know, they tend to go off on sort of, you know, on their own sort of thing, and everybody else is looking away and not really paying attention. Whereas today I saw a lot of people writing and taking notes, and I know myself took notes because I'm actually going to utilize them later and put them together, you know, in life.
I really like Chris's style because he's easy to understand, he gets to the point, he doesn't go on and on about any particular subject, and he makes you walk away feeling like you accomplished a lot just by listening. What I learned from the presentation, really what stood out in my mind, was to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, because there's so many times where you just want to hide in your office and not face the uncomfortable situations that can really lead to success, and I have to remember that always. His communication was certainly clear because his usage of jokes was helpful. A lot of the precise details that he gave were very helpful. It was organized, and I thought that I benefited from the speech.
I enjoyed Chris's presentation today. He was very humorous, and I enjoyed his style. He had a lot of energy, and it kept me highly engaged. My biggest takeaway from Chris's speech today was that I sometimes can be the problem, but every time I realize that, I'm also the solution. So I need to look within myself to start the change.
I love Chris's irreverent, off-the-cuff, sometimes candid, but always poignant style when it comes to speaking. Chris communicates his message very clearly. It really resonates with all business professionals who are trying to grow their business. I've always learned from him that it's important to separate doing things that are in the business as opposed to working on the business. And that's something that was a real takeaway today.
From the presentation today, I learned the most important thing to me, which was to kind of void my mind and my life of distractions. Focus really on one task ahead instead of multitasking, get that done, do it well, and then move on to the next. Chris's message is always communicated clearly. He's direct to the point. He uses amazing analogies to drive up the emotion, to drive home the point, and then he relates it to business. So he takes you one place emotionally and then drives it home to kind of make it make sense and practical for business and life. I love Chris's style. I'm a fan. I'm sold. I'm buying the book. I'm getting an autographed copy. I love Chris.
I loved Chris's style. He's very enthusiastic, very energetic, comical, and he engages the audience. You participate. So I love the style. My biggest takeaway is I think you got to stick your neck out in order to move slowly. And the turtle example he gave, in order to move forward with a turtle, you've got to stick your neck out. And that's how you make gains. That's how you move forward. That's how you make the change. That's how you have to step up and play big.
Chris's messages were communicated clearly, precisely, in a fun way, and in a way that I could hear again and again, and it would still have an effect. I love his style. He was very comfortable, he was clear, and he is very down to earth.
I learned two great things from the presentation today. The first thing is setting a vision. And I like the way Chris said, set a 3-year vision, break it down to a 2-year vision, then a 1-year vision, then a 90-day, so that you can keep on track to reach your 3-year goal. The second thing I liked was setting expectations with your employees and managing them to those expectations. That was an excellent point that he made. Chris is an excellent communicator. I really liked his style. He wasn't up there selling what he was doing. He was up there educating us, and he did an awesome job at giving little stories to make each point, which were excellent. I love Chris's style. He's very casual, matter of fact, and he engages the audience very well by incorporating them into his talk, by asking them questions and using them for specific examples. So it was excellent.
Today I learned, and what stuck with me was actually the piece on decorating the interior of your mind. Remembering what you have between those 7 inches from ear to ear is important. I would describe Chris's style as impactful. He's passionate about the things that he's trying to communicate, and humor, I think, is probably one of the best ways to reach people.
Today's presentation was great. It's one thing about myself is I always say I'm a great multitasker, And I've actually learned from Chris that it might not be the best thing to be a complete multitasker, because then you might look over some other things that you have to do in the office and some other goals that you had set for your company. So this was a great way to learn how to set specific goals and how to get to that point too. Just the way Chris talks, he was very fluid, very easy to understand. He spoke with a lot of stories, and these stories were actually very relatable. It was much easier for myself and probably a lot of the other audience members to be able to get a good understanding of what he was trying to get across through those stories. He made it very personable, which was also very entertaining.
The information was communicated very clearly. I liked his discussions related to the examples of herding cats. I liked his discussion about how change is uncomfortable in the example that we used where we had to stand up and change something. And then his point related to when everyone sat back down, they go back to exactly what they're comfortable with, because where I'm working, that's exactly what's going on. Is we're looking at changing, and when they go back to their offices, they all go back to the way it used to be, and they don't want to continue with the changes. So that was excellent. I loved his style. When I give presentations, I talk kind of the same with examples, real life examples, things that you can use when you're working with people. I think that's the best learning technique versus having a lot of statistics and information. It's more free flowing and from the heart.